Welcome back to the studio. I'm here with none other than wealth creating maestro Robert G. Allen, and today we're going to talk about I think it's one of your favorite strategies, which is low risk and low cash at wholesaling. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with wholesaling and maybe one of the bigger deals that you've done?
Well, wholesaling is what we call it today. Another way of describing it is flipping, which means you buy it, you immediately sell it, and somebody else takes it over and you make a profit from it. Back in our few decades ago, we didn't call it either one of those, wholesaling or flipping. We didn't use those words, but I knew that when I didn't have qualifications to buy a property, I could still take advantage of that. And this is what most people don't realize. They think if they don't have the money or the credit or the income to buy a property, that they can't buy it. And so shall I tell you a fun story? I hired somebody to go do my looking for me. Actually, it was an MBA student at my local university here. And during the summertime, they all looking for work. And so I went in as a graduate of that same school. And I went in, I said, I'm looking for somebody I can hire for the summertime. And so I picked the number one student in that class, the top student in that class. And I said, would you like to work for me for the summer? And I'll teach you how to make money. You'll have to do what I tell you to do, and I'm going to pay you $0. But if we find deals, and if we turn around and sell them quickly, any profit we make from those deals, I'll give you a percentage of it. Like it was 20%, I think, 20% of the money. And I said, you'll make more than anybody in the class this summer, but you'll earn $0. I'll pay you no salary whatsoever. Are you willing to take that risk? And so I got the top student for nothing. And I told him exactly what to do, how to find deals to me, and he was my bird dog. That's what a bird dog does. They bring you the birds, they bring you the deals. And so that's exactly what he did. His name was Rex, and off he is looking for deals, and he comes to me, Robert, I found a deal for you. And it was an apartment building, beautiful apartment building, right up, very close to the university. Good location, great condition, fabulous property. And the two owners had been fighting for years, and they finally had reached the limit. And Rex, my guy, had stumbled into this apartment building the day when the two were there, and they were kind of arguing. And they said, we want to sell. We're done. We're done. We need to get rid of this thing. And so he calls me on the phone. He says, hey, Bob, we got one. We found a highly motivated seller. And so I immediately ran over to talk to them, and I realized that it was a building beyond my capability. I couldn't have qualified for the loan to buy it. I didn't have the down payment to buy it. I was just at the beginning of my career, but what I found was a highly motivated seller, which is the secret. You start there, and then you negotiate a nothing down technique. And so I said, what price would you like? And they gave me a price that I knew was at least $50,000 below. Maybe $100,000 below the market value. In other words, the owners did not know how much their property was worth. And they gave me a number that I knew was low. And I said immediately there, I said, I'll buy it.
Even though you couldn't qualify.
Exactly. When you know it's a great deal, you buy it. You just immediately say, I'll buy it. Thank you. How much do you need as an earnest? I gave them about $500 earnest money, which was probably still low at the time. And they took it. And then I said, give me 6 weeks to close, and I'll get you the money you need, and we'll close it. And now when I have in my hand a contract with the price they wanted, which I knew was low. Why did I know it was low? Because I had a buying farm, and I recommend you do the same thing. It was a 10 square block area that I had decided that was where I wanted to buy my properties, where I wanted to invest. And therefore, I had done research on that area. I knew what the values were. I knew the owners of the properties. I drove through that area all the time looking for sale signs. It was my target territory. It happened to be close to the university where students would be living. So it was a perfect situation. So that's why I knew when the seller told me that their property was X, that this is what they wanted X for, I knew it was substantially below the market price. Although I couldn't qualify, I still made an offer to buy it. Gave them an earnest money, which I would have lost, if I couldn't qualify, that's $500, nothing. And then I knew some investors who had been looking for deals like that, who did qualify, who did have the cash, the down payment, the credit, the income. They had it. And so I went to them and I said, "You like a great deal? You want a fabulous deal? Here's my contract. There's my name." And I did not put into it what I should have put into it, which I recommend you do. There's this phrase you put in every contract. Your name plus these words, and/or assigns, which means you're going to buy it and/or whoever you assign this contract to. If you don't put that in there, then you have to close on it. And you have to close on it. And in this case, I had to close on this property, meaning I had to come up with a down payment to be able to buy this property. It wasn't my money though. My buyer put the money in the closing with my name. I had a separate agreement with him that I would immediately transfer it to him. And I should have wanted $20,000, $30,000. I said, "Give me $7,000 and it's yours." And he said, "Well, that's a great deal." Everybody won. The sellers, they got exactly what they wanted, and it got it fast. My buyer, he got exactly what a great deal. I think he still owns it. It's a beautiful property, great location. It's awesome. It's gone up maybe 3 times in value, 400% since he bought it. And I got what I wanted, which is a quick cash, a chunk of $7,000 on a property that I did not buy, but made money by flipping it. And today we call it wholesaling. Well, there are people who buy 20, 30 properties a month like this. Wholesaling. They got people who have 20 VAs in Venezuela or in Brazil who are calling people here in the United States to find deals exactly like this and immediately flipping them and wholesaling them to other people. This is something you can do. Don't you ever tell me that you can't buy a property if you don't have any money. You need to look. You need to look for great deals and do exactly like I did. When I found a great deal, what did I do? I immediately signed a contract to buy it. And now, are there people out there who are looking for deals like this? Yeah, you just turn around and advertise, find somebody else who you can flip it to or wholesale it to, and you walk away with the money and you buy, you're making money on a property you don't own. You're making money on a property that they didn't check your credit. Then you're making money on a property that doesn't require your cash or financial statement. You're making money on just your knowledge, your brain, your resources of finding deals like that. You be a finder. You be a finder, a bird dog for other people. And then eventually you'll make enough money so that you're not bird dogging for other people, you're bird dogging for yourself. Finding deals, putting them in your portfolio, renting them out to your tenants. That's how you create wealth. You start with other people's money, and then you make it with yourself.
And Robert, if we can talk about the $7,000, this was in the 70s, right?
This was in early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. Cool. So the conversion rate, that ends up being about $30,000 today.
Yeah,
so that's not small potatoes still.
Yeah.
You say you wish you would have charged him 30 or 40 grand, but in today's dollars, that's still pretty good.
That's true.
Last thing I want to talk about, you talk about this concept called a buying farm. And I think that what's cool about that is you always talk about riches in the niches, right?
Yeah.
And so even today where there's like you said, people with VAs in Venezuela or Brazil and they're just constantly scouring for properties, you can still be a master of your own market because a lot of those people, they'll use these fancy softwares and look all over the nation.
Yeah.
But how was it, 10 blocks? What would you say that buying farm is for you to just
about
really
a mile by a mile, frankly.
Okay.
It's about a mile. So in the mile square, you want your buying farm to be close to something where people need to rent, whether it's a factory where the people are working, employees are working, maybe it's an office space, maybe it's a mall, a place where it would be a fairly stable and increasingly property values are increasing. And you're going to become the expert in your city. Like no realtor will know more than you know about that one tiny square piece of property. Because in a mile square is about 1,000 properties. And what's the probability that one of those properties will sell this next year? Well, approximately 10 to 15, 20% of the properties will sell every single year. So let's say 10%. So that means that about 100 of those properties are going to sell in the next 12 months. Now, what's the probability that 1 or 2 of those 100 will be highly motivated sellers? Extremely high probability. Most of the people that'll sell will not be highly motivated. They'll be researched out by realtors who will list their property at a retail price, and therefore you don't want retail. You want wholesale. So that means most of the properties that are sold will be retail. You don't want them. But about 5 of those 100, about 5 of them in the next 12 months will come on the market, usually from a for sale by owner, FSBO. And a for sale by owner doesn't want to list with a realtor. They're usually pretty cheap. They think that the 6% they give to a realtor is a ripoff, right? And they want to sell so they get all the money, but usually they don't have the professionalism to know what their property is worth. And so the market might have increased over the last 12 months or the last 2 or 3 years since they really got the idea of what it was really worth. And so they listed at a price that is below the market. That's usually wholesale. That's why I love SBOs. I love them. And so you talk to them, you say, what's your price? What do you want? Just like these 2 apartment owners, they wanted to get rid of their property. They listed at a price that was below, and they didn't really know what their value was. So these 5% in your target territory are going to be highly motivated. Therefore, it opens up the 50 nothing down techniques. It opens up ways for you to buy that property, either wholesaling it to somebody else or buying it yourself with little or no money down. And that's why a target territory is something I highly recommend. You focus on only one little spot in your city, and then you do just the exact opposite. You go as wide as possible. You go to the entire United States, and you get software like PropStream, where you literally can get the names and addresses by doing this, what do you call that? Skip tracing, and you can get their telephone numbers. You can text the owners for somebody who lives in a state that's all across the country from you. I want you to do both. Go deep and go wide at the same time. And you're looking for a highly motivated seller, and you might be lucky enough to find it in your own city, in your buying farm. Good. Or you might be buying it wholesale in a state that's 1,000 miles from you. Wide or narrow, the secret is to find a highly motivated seller. That's the hard part. And you keep looking until you do.
And the best part about that is once you find your motivated seller, even if you don't have the money to buy the deal, you can either wholesale it or do a no money down technique.
Exactly.
But once you find that deal, there's no excuse for not being able to buy it.
That's right. No excuse. That's great. Good way to say that.
Love that. Thank you so much for coming in and talking about this. This has really been eye-opening for me. If you guys want to learn more about how to make money in real estate with no money down, click that link below. We'll send you a free copy of Robert's book, The Challenge, where he goes to an unemployment line, pulls 3 people out with no money, no jobs, no credit, and teaches them how to make money in real estate.
You have no excuse.
No
Read
excuse.
that book and you'll learn why.
We'll see you guys on the next one.